It's Over Opinionated. With Josh Cott.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Over Opinionated. Donald Trump is the President of the United States again, as he was sworn in on Monday.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
So, Trump has started his second non-consecutive term. He's the second person in American history to do that, only the second. And the first was Grover Cleveland, and he was sworn in for his second time in 1893. So it's been a little while since we've had a president, be sworn in for a non-consecutive term. Everyone was there, all the former presidents and former first ladies, with the exception of Michelle Obama. Now, there's a rumor on the internet that I don't give much credence to, that Michelle Obama and President Obama may be going through a divorce. I'm not putting much light into that at all, because we just don't see the evidence of that. She also didn't attend the Jimmy Carter funeral, but we also know that she has a deep hatred for Donald Trump. So, there's no need in spreading useless rumors. It has nothing to do with the United States right now. President Obama is no longer president, and there's just no need to cause a ruckus. With Trump back in the White House, on the first day, we see a ton of executive orders go into place, mostly getting rid of Biden's executive orders and a few more, and a few challenging the status quo of challenging the status quo of birthright citizenship. Changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which I actually like that. Some people might think that's silly, but we should take great pride in our country. And half of that Gulf is ours, and half of it's Mexico. So I'm gonna start calling it the Gulf of America. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I like it. I do. I think we should take pride in our country and be patriotic. That doesn't mean we can't say when our country's doing something wrong that they're not, because our country has done things wrong in the past. But half of that Gulf is within United States international waters, or about half. We take care of it. Our military is in it. So I agree with Trump. It's the Gulf of America. But it is, that's small fries compared to some of Trump's executive orders. I think we've seen around 80 executive orders, and most of those have been rescinded by Joe Biden's executive orders. Now, I do want to say this. That's executive action through executive orders to basically pass legislation is not the way the country was designed. Our legislatures were supposed to legislate, but because Congress, no matter what party is in charge, cannot get along with each other, well enough to pass legislation, the president has had to do it. President Trump in his second terms had to do it. President Biden, I believe he did the wrong executive orders, but he had to use his executive power. President Trump's first term and President Obama and even President Bush used a lot of executive power where Congress was not doing its job. It's very hard to pass stuff in Congress, especially with the filibuster rule. In the House, it's not as hard. You just need a simple majority. But in the Senate, you need 60 votes. Unless we're voting on a cabinet member, a Supreme Court justice, or the budget. And I think under the rules we're allowed to use one or two. You're allowed to use 2 times. You're allowed to break the filibuster to pass something that the country needs. Other than that, with the filibuster rule, you're not getting much passed. Now, some people like the filibuster, some people don't. My opinion is it's not in the Constitution. I do think it slows down the process, and that can be good. But I would be fine. I would be fine with the Republicans saying, let's make a constitutional amendment to secure the filibuster. And if the Democrats don't vote on this, we're just going to nuke the filibuster. You get 6 months to vote to pass the filibuster as a constitutional amendment. If you don't do that, we're going to nuke it and we're going to rule. And that's the way I do it. That's the way I'd handle it because, if Democrats get a pretty good majority, if they get 55 seats, they don't have a bunch of moderates like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema anymore. I could 100% see them nuke the filibuster. They already did it with federal judges. And that's why we were able to just say, well, you're going to do it with lower court federal judges. Fine, we'll do it with Supreme Court judges. And they can't really say anything because they did it first. But before we get into all of Trump's executive actions, talking about the pros and cons, I want to talk a little bit about the inauguration. It was inside because it was freezing cold. It seems like every inauguration is because it's in the Constitution that you have to have it on January 20th every 4 years. This is the first inauguration that's been held inside the Capitol since 1985 with Ronald Reagan's second inaugural address. It was the 60th presidential inauguration in American history, so you got that landmark. He's the 47th president of the United States and the 45th president of the United States. In attendance, we have Congress. A couple of Democrats skip out. I know AOC skipped out because she's a child and comes up with a BS reason to skip out. And John Fetterman was there, and listen, John Fetterman's my favorite Democrat senator. I wouldn't vote for him versus a Republican, but he's just kind of real, and he reminds me of my dad, to be honest with you. If my dad was a senator, he would be a Republican version of John Fetterman. He literally goes to the inauguration wearing a sweatshirt and a Carhartt hoodie. He's wearing a Carhartt hoodie, sweatshirt, and gym shorts. And listen, I'm very relaxed on dress. I'm not going to judge John Fetterman. I'm fine with someone going to church wearing that. I'm very, very relaxed on dress. But there's a few occasions that, I dress up for. Easter, Christmas. Now, I take church serious all the time. But there's a few occasions I dress up for. The inauguration of a president is probably one of them. And, but, so be it. The people of Pennsylvania, I've told people this, the people of Pennsylvania knew who they were voting for when they voted for John Fetterman and his style of dress. And if that's what upsets you so much about him, that's about the smallest thing you can get upset in Washington about. So I don't care. I just think it's hilarious because I could 100% see my dad doing that. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I could see him doing it. So Trump was criticized because Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg were all at the inauguration. I think they all donated $1 million to the inaugural committee. Which, heck, to me, that's fine. You're going to donate $1 million to the inaugural committee. It's less money that the taxpayers might have to pay. So if you're a billionaire, go for it. Now, some people say, well, they're paying Trump off. No, that's not at all what it is. Because Trump had a kind of out with Mark Zuckerberg, who banned him off of Facebook for 3 years. I think it's 3 years he banned him off of Facebook after January 6th. He put strict policies in. And now, since Trump has won, a lot of companies are getting the picture that America doesn't like this crap. That America doesn't like all the DEI stuff being shoved down their throat, the forced diversity crap. America doesn't like all this liberal woke mob censoring what they post on the internet. This, to me, this is more of a, hey, leave us alone, we'll give you a little bit of money, don't go after us. Then, oh, I'm giving Trump money I'm buying Trump out. This is the party that Joe Biden literally gave he literally gave George Soros the Presidential Medal of Freedom a week before leaving office. So give me a break. So just don't give me that. Both parties have rich donors. Let's just say that. So don't give me that. And Trump is not a man that's going to get bought out politically. And you could laugh and say, well, look at Jeff Bezos. Trump is a billionaire, guys. This is his last term in office. He's got nothing really to lose. He's a billionaire. And he's the president of the United States in his last term. So, no, Elon Musk, we're talking about Elon, is just a free speech advocate. Now, when he bought Twitter, did he ban people for criticizing him that he shouldn't have? Yes. A handful of people. But he also opened up Twitter to be a more free speech platform where you don't get shadow banned. I got shadow banned. I got followers taken away from me just because I was a conservative. And so did other people. And Elon Musk opened that up. And he has quit banning people for just merely criticizing him. He's grown a little bit of a thicker skin. And he just was looking at the world around him. You know, who's the party of free speech? Well, the Republican Party is the party of free speech. The Democrats want to censor us on, they want to pressure companies like Facebook and Twitter to censor us. That's public information. We know that the Democrats, which were in power and using the government into power, were pressuring Facebook to censor conservative viewpoints. We know that for a fact. Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that. And that's partially why he said Facebook was giving in. Now I think Facebook has kind of a liberal bent. So Twitter was definitely doing that before Elon Musk. It's called X now. I think that's the dumbest thing. I do like Elon, but that was dumb. No one calls it X. Everyone still calls it Twitter. It was Twitter for years. I just don't like the name change. That's it. But he's looking at Elon Musk as an innovator. He helped create an electric vehicle to try to, regardless of your opinion on electric vehicles, he's trying to help this planet. He wants to go to Mars. Trump said, he's going to try to go to Mars. Really, Trump's coalition is made up of traditional Republicans, evangelical Republicans, and, believe it or not, some traditional Democrats that have said our parties went way too far. People like RFK Jr., who was a Democrat for forever, ran as a Democrat for president, but the party wasn't, it's impossible to win a primary. The party definitely wasn't going to allow that. He said part of it was kind of rigged, and part of it was, but he also wasn't going to beat Biden in primary. So he runs as an independent. When he sees he can't win, I'll give him a credit. He's a pretty decent independent candidate. He really was. He's probably the best independent candidate we've had since Ross Perot. Not as good as Ross Perot, number-wise, but he is the best since Ross Perot. And he says, you know what? I can't win. I'm going to endorse Donald Trump. And I do think that helped Trump win. I mean, this was... So if you look at the percentages within the states, some of them were fairly close. Now, everything, the whole country, every state in the country shifted to the Republican Party. And that gives me a lot of hope. Every single state in this country shifted to the Republican Party. But there were still states that were pretty tight. And Trump only won by 1.47%, I think. Now, that's still really big. He won the popular vote by that much. He killed her in the Electoral College. Now, that's still really big for a Republican to win the popular vote, especially Donald Trump, who has said everything under the sun. That's how bad the Democrats were. They lost to Donald Trump, who has said everything under the sun. He was a former president, impeached twice. They convicted him of a felony. I think it's bullcrap, by the way. And they lost the popular vote. More people in the election voted for Trump than Kamala Harris. That is how bad the Democrat Party is. That's how bad the Biden administration is. The Democrats at the last minute tried to switch their starting quarterback, and it didn't matter because Trump just killed her. Metaphorically. Don't be stupid, guys. Metaphorically. He just destroyed her in the election. And we took back the Senate and we kept the House. Very small majority in the House. And a few seats in the Senate. So it's a tide. It's a polarized country. But we have that mandate to lead now. People know who Donald Trump is. You know, if you don't know who Donald Trump is, you're living under a rock. He is the President of the United States now. He is shaking things up. I think that Trump is a better president than Biden was in this term alone. Because he's getting rid of a lot of Biden's crap policies. Biden took the crap sandwich that Trump has took the crap sandwich that he has been feeding Americans for the last 4 years. He took that, he threw it in the trash, and Trump's been making a filet mignon for us. So, yeah, I mean, and Trump says it all the time. We want to be the party of common sense. This is a common sense revolution type deal, and that's all it takes. It took somebody with some gonads that wasn't afraid of the political class and the political establishment. Now, Trump tried some of this stuff last time. He didn't have as much experience. He had to fight a lot of people in the swamp and people in his own party, and he still is now. But Trump's got the experience. He knows who he can depend on and who he can trust, and he is getting a lot done now. This is a well-oiled machine so far. That doesn't mean it's going to be in 6 months. We'll see. But this is a well-oiled machine. He is accomplishing his goals. It is awesome to see. Trump 2.0 is better than Trump 1.0 so far. And all the Democrats, the only thing the Democrats can really cry about is the price of eggs have not went down. Minority Leader Jakeem Jeffries literally is posting, and Democrats are following his lead. Well, I thought you said the price of eggs were going to go down. They went up a little bit. He's only been in the job for a week. That's like hiring somebody. That you get hired at a factory to run a machine, and the boss saying, well, productions went down a little bit. Well, the guy that they fired and they hired you to replace him with, you've only been there a week. So you're going to say, oh, the price of eggs. Shut up, man. And you know what? I didn't only vote for the economy. That was part of it. What I'm seeing with how Donald Trump is doing with ICE and these deportations, I voted for that. I'll own that. Well, that's unchristian. No, it's not. It's not unchristian to send people back to their home country. That's not unchristian. And everyone who says, well, the Bible talks about being good to the foreigner. It does. But what they leave out is they always forget that foreigner is supposed to assimilate. He is supposed to obey the laws. and he was supposed to get rid of his foreign pagan gods and worship the God of Israel. We are not seeing that with illegal immigration. We're not seeing all these people assimilate. We're not seeing all these people obey our laws. They already broke the law number one by crossing the border, and then they break more laws. Not all of them, but all of them have broke the law by crossing the border. But not all of them have broke the law, like stealing a car, doing this and doing that. That's our top priority. If you've broke the law even more after crossing the border, you should get a nice ride home. Well, we're doing deportation flights. What a way to get deported. Eat you some peanuts as you get sent back home to the country that you are from. That's pretty nice. I think, that's pretty nice of Trump, you ask me. Get you some peanuts, some Coca-Cola, sit back, watch a movie, and go home. Tell all your friends about your time in the United States, and don't come back unless you come the right way. Oh, you're being cruel. You're being mean. These are people who have broke our laws. We've sent one terrorist back home. I mean, my guys, this is easy. People are taking advantage of America's good graces. The illegal immigrants are. Now, do I feel sorry for some illegal immigrants? Yes, I do. When they don't have the best economy, they want to raise their kid in a good country, but they came here the wrong way. Now, do I think that we're going to send all of them back? There's no way. There's 11 million illegal immigrants estimated in America. There's no way to do that. But what we can do is we go after criminals first. And we're going to see some images that look heartbreaking. And when we do, we got to say, well, you broke the law. That doesn't mean we hate you, but you broke the law. And, I saw one guy on Twitter, oh, make America white again. It's so stupid. So stupid. Let me tell you why. There are a lot of Hispanic immigrants that came the right way to America. And they are American citizens. And a lot of those Hispanic immigrants, some of them are Catholic, but a lot of Hispanic immigrants now are actually becoming more and more Pentecostal. I think that's great for America to have a conservative evangelical denomination with a lot of these Hispanics coming up. I was raised in the Pentecostal church, so I understand it. I'll take a nation of Pentecostal Hispanics over white atheists any day of the week. Any day of the week. And listen, if you're from Europe and you're breaking the law here, you're here illegally, go back home. I mean that. So it's not about making America great again. It's about making America for Americans again. There's a reason why. So Joe Biden does jack diddly crap for Appalachia. FEMA sucks for Appalachia. And Donald Trump goes down to North Carolina. He signs an executive order pausing foreign aid to many countries until that they can get the aid into Western North Carolina. The citizens of Western North Carolina have been abandoned by the Biden administration. FEMA has sucked hind tit, not helping them. When we have people from Amish country, from Pennsylvania and Ohio, coming down to Western North Carolina and making small houses and mass numbers, and FEMA's not doing crap for them. Thank you guys from Amish country doing that, by the way, and stepping up. Americans are helping people in Western North Carolina more than our government. And I said that in the episode Restoring Appalachia. If the federal government doesn't care about us, fine, we will do it ourselves because we're Appalachians and we'll take care of our own. But I'll be honest. I was talking to someone. I said I really feel like Donald Trump is the first president in a long time that has put American citizens before the world, and he has, and he is. And that's a great thing. So you can complain about and say he's racist because of deportations, and Donald Trump's not even against immigrants. He's against illegal immigrants. And I know the people on the left have a very hard time comprehending that. J.D. Vance, our vice president, is married to the daughter of a legal immigrant. She's an American citizen. She's born a citizen, but her parents were legal immigrants from India. She's the first Indian second lady in the United States history. She's also a Hindu. I'm actually praying that she becomes a Christian. I think we all should. But and we also have Donald's Trump wife, Melania. She's also an immigrant from Slovakia. So it's not that we hate immigrants. Tom Cotton, I do think, is probably more anti-legal immigration too. I'm not a fan of that. But we want to know who's coming into the country. If you came here the wrong way, and if you did something bad after that, I don't feel bad for you when we send your butt home. Guys, I want to play y'all a clip from the inauguration that I really thought was heartwarming from the president.
Over the past 8.
Let's take a quick break.
Has anybody ever told you you were over opinionated? How about this one? You can talk about everything you like, but don't talk about religion, don't talk about faith, don't talk about politics. My name is Darrell McClain, host of Darrell McClain Show, and I want to introduce you to a show called Over Opinionated with my friend from Southwest Virginia, Josh Scott. Josh has always been told he has been over-opinionated. He always tried to hold back these opinions, but he tried to back them up when he had to say something with facts and logic. Since he's grown up in many ways, he had to change a lot of his views and his opinions, as a lot of people should. He's not a millionaire from Fox News or CNN. He's just a hard-working, blue-collar type of guy. Give Josh Scott a shot at Over Opinionated with Josh Scott. You can find him on patreon.com/overopinionated at 679. You can also check him out on Twitter at NRV_guy79. Over Opinionated with Josh Scott, where he is this soft-spoken guy telling you the truth.
Years I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
And he was saved by God. There's no way you can watch that clip and what happened in Pennsylvania and not say that this was not divine intervention. That Trump turns his head at precisely the right time, just mere seconds, and he is shot in the ear. If he keeps his head the same, he dies. So if you can look at that and not see God's divine hand. Now you can even hate Trump and still say that this is an act of God's mercy. But a lot of these Democrats, they hate Trump so much. There's such a hatred harbored in their heart for Trump that they become so blind, they become so stupid, and their minds become so warped that they don't know how to function. Just this, like when Elon Musk was giving part of the victory speech on the tour. He grabs his heart. You can see him. He hits his chest. He grabs his heart and he sends it out to the crowd. Now, when you look at it, there's a screenshot of it. You watch the whole clip. It pretty much says it all. That it was not a Nazi salute. And when you know the fact that Elon Musk also has Asperger's syndrome, that doesn't mean he's dumb. He's far from it. but they have kind of a tick. They have ticks. I worked with one guy that had it for a year, and he had those ticks. You know, they're just going back to the playbook of Trump's a Nazi. So be it. So be it. If you want to call Trump a Nazi, it didn't work in 2016. It really didn't work in 2020. The reason y'all won in 2020 was mass voter mail-in. I'm pretty sure if you knew it was true, it was true. Now, that doesn't mean Biden didn't win. He did, but Democrats took advantage of the COVID loss, and it was extremely close. But the Nazi stuff didn't work in 2020, and it didn't work in 2024 because Donald Trump is your president. And if you live in the United States of America, no matter your color, no matter what state or territory, no matter what political affiliation or religion or creed, Donald Trump is your president. And if you don't like that, you can cry about it. Because for the last 4 years, Joe Biden has destroyed America. He has made us weak. He's made us look weak on the international front. Donald Trump is putting this country first. You might not like everything he says. I don't either. But daggone it, we have a president that's willing to go, and he's standing up for unborn children at the March for Life. Is he strong on abortion like I'd want him to be? No, I think he's weak on abortion. But at least he's acknowledging that unborn children matter. At least he's not for abortion all the way up to 9 months like Joe Biden was. And like the Democrats are on demand. At least he has a spine and is willing to say America is for Americans and illegal immigrants should not be here, especially if they commit a crime. So cry about it. Honestly. Did I like it when Joe Biden was president? No. Did I criticize him? Yes. But what do you expect the Democrats to do? That's just what they do. And, January 6th, y'all acted like crap. Listen, January 6th was stupid. But what happened on January 6th into the Capitol was stupid. I went over it. Trump shouldn't have been there. He never called for violence. He said peacefully and patriotically protest. But he never called for violence. But it was dumb. But a lot of those guys, the vast majority of them, were trespassing on American grounds, American Capitol grounds. They weren't insurrectionists trying to destroy the country. It was a mob that got overheated. And I'm glad that President Trump pardoned them, because a lot of them were not given fair due process. A lot of their lives have been ruined for just going into the Capitol. Some people were kind of pushed into the Capitol. I know that there's a case of a guy who didn't want to go into the Capitol because of the flow of the crowd was so massive. He ended up in the Capitol, and they have him on camera, and police went after him. Donald Trump pardoned them. Now, that's a good thing. You can cry about it all you want to, but I really don't care. I don't care because Joe Biden, before he leaves office, pardons everybody in his family. Like 15 minutes before the inauguration, pardons everybody in his family. People who have not been charged with a crime. That is corruption. That is him using the pardon pen corruptly. So don't cry about the January 6th protesters and rioters that got pardoned. Many of them, vast majority of them deserved it, by the way. Deserved the pardon. I would have pardoned them. When Joe Biden pardons his entire family. When Joe Biden pardons Dr. Anthony Fauci. Why do you need to pardon Dr. Anthony Fauci for if he's not being charged with a crime? Preemptive pardons kind of change the whole game, don't they? Pardon your whole family. Pardoning Hunter Biden. He pardoned almost everyone on death row with the exception of 2 terrorists. People who have raped, people who have murdered. You pardon those people? So I don't want to see your crocodile tears about January 6th. Well, he gave clements to everyone on the federal death sentence. Instead of pardon, I guess, because he didn't just let them out of jail. He gave them life in prison instead. because his Catholic devotion to life, as he champions the ripping out of unborn babies from their mother's womb and being sucked into a tube. Joe Biden's a failed president. He's an immoral man. I'm not saying Trump's the most moral man, but he's a failed president, an immoral man. He hurt this country in so many ways. It's been a rough 4 years. But, and Trump's got a heck of a job ahead of him because of that. So, let's go into some of Trump's executive orders. Let's look at that. Because that's what has been going on. So, we have a lot of executive orders. I'm just going to read a few. He's declassifying the records concerning the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., and Martin Luther King Jr. We have reforming the federal hiring process and restoring merit to government services. So getting rid of DEI, the job, the best person, the best job. He's making federal workers actually come into work instead of working remotely from home. And listen, this isn't like just a normal off. You're working for the taxpayer people. You should go to work. Ending illegal discrimination and resorting merit-based opportunity. Getting rid of DEI. Ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs. Defending women from gender ideology extremism and resorting biological truth to federal government. Let's read this one because this is big. By the authority vested in me as President of the United States, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including Section 7301 of Title V, United States Code, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, Purpose. Across the country, including who deny the biological reality of sex, have increased, using legal over social constructive means to permit men to self-identify as women and gain access to intimate single-sex spaces and activities designed for women. For women's domestic abuse shelters, to women's workplaces, to women's showers. This is wrong. Efforts to eradicate the biological reality of sex fundamentally attack women by depriving them of their dignity, safety, and well-being. Yeah, I mean, that's just true. Let's go down to Section 2. Policies and definition. It is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. Thank you. So some common sense that there's not a billion different genders and sexes. Well, gender is different than sex. It's fluid. It's about, okay, so we're going to go into college academic crap to determine what everyone has known for all of millennia that there's male and women, and you could even say for a very, very, very small portion of the population, there's intersex that are born with both, but they are genetically they're not supposed to be that way. So yeah, we could say that. Okay, but you're supposed to be a boy or a girl. You can't be whatever you want. I'm sorry. You don't get to pick and choose. Just because you cut off your dingling doesn't make you a girl. It doesn't. You're a man without a dingling. Just because you put, fake breast on you doesn't make you a girl. Just because you take hormones and get a deeper voice and grow a beard doesn't make you a man. It makes you a girl with a beard. And I don't hate transgender people. And there are some people out there on the Christian right have had to correct, hey, we need to love them. They need Jesus just like anyone else. But people on the left would say I'm a bigot for the sentence I just said, even though it's just biologically and factually true. It's common sense. Men are men and women are women. But I don't hate these people. I wish the best for them. I hope they can overcome this gender dysphoria. I really do. I'm not going to be mean to them if I see them in the grocery store. I'm not going to shout at them and say, hey, look, there's tranny. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be normal to them. If they ask me my opinion, I'll give it to them in love and stuff and grace. That's probably not going to happen when you're just getting eggs. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Oh, you're transphobe. Oh, no, I'm not afraid of you. I don't hate you. I think you're wildly ridiculous. And you're hurting Americans. Abolishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. This is great. We need to save money. There's way too much government waste. Protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and national security and public threats. Unleashing Alaska's extraordinarily resource potential. Absolutely. Alaska has a ton of resources that we shouldn't just hamper with government red tape. Let's go. Temporary withdrawal of all areas of the outer continental shelf from our shore. Wind leasing reviews of the federal government, allowing more offshore drilling and natural resource harvesting. Declaring a national emergency. And this is about the border. We're declaring a national emergency at the okay, here it is. Securing our southern borders. I read you wrong, Executive Amendment. By the authority vested in section purpose. Over the last 4 years, the United States has entered a large-scale invasion at an appropriate level. Millions of illegal immigrants from nations and from regions all around the world successfully entered the United States and are now residing in potential terrorists, foreign spies, members of cartel, gangs, drugs, and violent trespasses. Yeah. We have, skipping down, we have limited on the price of whereabouts of a great number of these illegal aliens are, who have entered the last 4 years. This cannot stand. A nation without borders is a nation, and the federal government is not a nation, and the federal government must act to secure our borders. Yeah, absolutely. And Tom Holman's doing a great job. Now, we're going to see some images that are hard to see. I have some sympathy there. But I have no problem with deporting illegal immigrants. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's sinful. I don't think it's unbiblical. I think the Pope and the Catholics of American bishops are dead wrong. And condemning President Trump for that. You have to assimilate. These people are not assimilating. Now, we're going after the criminals first. Okay? And if you want to show some mercy to some illegal immigrants that came here for a better place, you can do that. But we have to get the criminals out. America needs to be for Americans. Of all races, of all creeds, and all religions. America is for Americans, not illegals. The America First trade policy, there'll be more tariffs. He's going to tariff countries. And listen, the tariffs could hurt. I do think we're going to get some blowback with the tariffs, and there might be a little bit of raised prices for a while. But it's going to hurt the other countries worse, I believe, and then eventually they'll cave. There are going to be some growing pains, and the Democrats will jump all over the growing pains. But just like in birth, it hurts, but then you eventually give birth. He pardoned pro-life protesters that stood outside of abortion clinics praying and asking mothers not to kill their babies. And they might have been technically breaking the law because they were too close to the clinic, but the Biden administration unleashed all hell on a lot of pro-life protesters, saying, you will not do this. Basically because he hates pro-lifers. So that was a good pardon. There's a hiring freeze at the federal government. Good. flying the flag of the United States at full staff on Inauguration Day. Okay. He's also we also now have the promise that we will not fly LGBT flags at U.S. embassies. Good. They're not LGBT embassies. They're American embassies. American flags, only American flags and official recognized flags should be flying. This LGBT death cult, and the reason it's called death cult is the death of sin, should not be flying over the United States. It's a shame on our nation. God judges the nations still. He still judges nations. And one way God judges the nations on LGBT issues. You look at Sodom and Gomorrah, and a lot of people say, well, Sodom and Gomorrah had nothing to do with homosexuality. And that's not true. It does have something to do with it. What they say, the unfriendliness is the biggest sin. It is. But what were the men trying to do to the two angels? They're trying to rape them as a homosexual act, in a homosexual act. Well, you could say that's force in it. Yes, but it shows that they're okay with that custom. We see it condemned in Leviticus. Well, that's just okay. We see it condemned in Romans, that God gave them over to their own sinful arts. So yeah, we shouldn't be flying the flag of sexual sin under the United States flag in foreign embassies. And we were flying it at the Vatican City, because the Vatican's a country. We were flying an LGBT flag at the Vatican City, which is Catholic. It's a theocracy. It's the smallest country in the world. It's a theocracy. And I'm not Catholic, but you know how disrespectful that is. It's beyond disrespectful. Beyond disrespectful. And I don't know for sure, but I wonder if we were flying LGBT flags in Middle Eastern countries. I wonder if we probably did in Israel. But I wonder if we did in like Saudi Arabia. I doubt it pretty seriously. I could be wrong, but I doubt it pretty seriously. Well, after the inauguration, there was a prayer vigil at the National Cathedral where a female bishop lectured Trump about how he needs to be merciful. I'm not going to play the clip because it's not... I'll be honest, I haven't talked much about it because I don't want to give her any more attention than she deserves. This is a liberal church. This is Episcopalian church, Anglican. They're Anglican church. We only say Episcopal in the United States because of the Revolution. So it's Anglican church, a mainline liberal denomination that is not seeking after God's goodwill. It's not seeking after God's righteousness. It's not seeking after God's word, really. They've fallen away. It's more like a liberal social club. I would have never went. Trump should have never went. He should have said, I will just go to a conservative Bible-believing church to have a prayer vigil. I know that the National Cathedral has historical purposes, but I wouldn't have went because it has fallen away. Just like Israel has fallen away from God in the book of Judges. A lot of the mainline church in the United States has fallen away from God. And I pray that they come back. But until they do, I wouldn't attend them. So, if I was the president, I would have never done this. If J.D. Vance wins election in 2028, hopefully, either him or a different Republican, they should not go to this. And yes, she asked for mercy. That's fine. But she left things out. I want to read you a post from a friend of mine, Caleb Crewy. He's been on the show before. He's a pastor at an Assemblies of God church. I want to read you his post because I agree with his words. I've heard many comments about the bishop, about what the bishop said at the National Prayer Service at the National Cathedral. I watched her homily, and I have a couple faults I would like to share. One, I disagree. One, the disagreement should be in what she said, not that she said something. Throughout the Bible, New and Old Testament, and church history, many people of God have bravely and boldly spoke out the truth and called out rulers and people of power. So that is not an issue. The issue is what she said theologically. I agree we should have mercy and compassion, and that includes as a stranger or an immigrant. But the principle we draw from the scriptures that address these topics is that the immigrant should assimilate and observe some certain rituals and laws in Israel and become full citizens, that they had been circumcised and worshiped the only true God of Israel. Assimilation is very biblical, and we don't see we don't see much assimilation. We don't see these people try to become Americanized, but not the illegals. Now, legal immigrants are very different. A lot of them do try to assimilate. I'll give them credit. That doesn't mean you can't have cultural practice from your home country. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the food or even speak the tongue, but you try to assimilate. You try to become an American. America is not just a land that doesn't have any culture. I've heard people say that. It's a lie, and it's offensive. It's an offensive lie. America we have multiple cultures, yes, but we do have a common culture. We do have common language we should speak. We do have common values that we found in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution. Also, we have a Christian upbringing that we need to go back to. We'll get to this point too. The major theme of her homily was unity. She gave some good principles of unity, but left out the major and only way of unity, Jesus Christ. Not just his teachings, as she did mention in reference to the Sermon on the Mount, but faith in him. True unity is only achieved through the true, sincere faith in Jesus, and believers being kindled together by the Holy Spirit, without there being no unity. And then he goes on to quote Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. Therefore, the prisoner of the Lord beseech you, you walk worthy of the calling in which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness and long-suffering, bearing one another in love, endurance, and keeping the unity of the Spirit and the bounds of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called in one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all with you. And Caleb's right about that. And you do have to assimilate. Now, personally, I don't think women have any business being behind the pulpit. You're sexist, whatever. Paul legitimately says, I do not permit a woman to teach or preach. They shall not have authority over a man. He says that in 1 Timothy chapter 2. I did a whole episode about that. So I don't care, number one, what she has to say to begin with. That's not because I'm sexist. It's because I believe the Bible. I don't think women have any business being behind the pulpit, with a very rare exception. Like if it's all women in the congregation, or if she's preaching to small children, teaching small. I'm fine. If you want to be a Sunday school teacher and you're teaching small children, even male children under a certain age, so be it. Women have always had authority over men, over children, and even male children. But you have no business. You have no business getting behind a pulpit and telling me what to do, being a woman. It's what Paul says. That doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean you can't have a theological point that I agree with. You can. I'm not going to. I wouldn't just get up and walk out of a church that I'm visiting for the first time if they have a woman pastor. I won't do that. But I'm probably not going to go back. It doesn't mean that you're going to hell. I don't think that women preachers are doomed to hell. But I don't think that they're. I think they're taking God's word out of context, and I think that they're wrong, and I don't think that's the way God desires to be worshipped in His house. Doesn't mean God doesn't love women. He does. Doesn't mean God doesn't use women. He does. Doesn't mean God doesn't call women, because He does call women. But He doesn't call them to be a bishop or a pastor. He just doesn't. At least I don't think so. If I get up to heaven, if He tells me I was wrong, I'll say, I'm sorry, God, I got that one wrong. I hope you're not mad. And that's why I do give a little grace to the other side. But I do think they're wrong. But regardless, if she was a man, she would still be wrong. And also, I want to know, did she ever use her spiritual influence to ever call out Joe Biden for encouraging the death of unborn babies? No, she didn't. Not that I know of. Where was her empathy when we were sucking babies' brains through a tube? While we were murdering them, while their blood is on our hands. Where was her empathy then? Where was her mercy then? This is what makes me so mad about the left. Oh, abortion's your scapegoat. You're a single issue voter. I'm not a single issue voter. I vote on a lot of the issues. I just think Democrats are wrong on all of them, or almost all of them. There's some economic issues I might agree more with Democrats on. Not the majority, but some. But I'm not a single issue voter. But yeah, when there's a Holocaust in the United States, and when there's a genocide in the United States of unborn people, yes, that is my number one issue. But, well, you don't care about them after they're born. Yes, I do. That's why I want to give them a free and good and healthy America. That's what I want. A great America. For them to live in. If they need help, I'm actually a populist. I'm fine with giving out help to women who have babies and need help. And I'm fine with giving those babies help. But to these leftists, there's no amount of help that they could ever receive to say we shouldn't kill babies. Their goal is they believe that it's a fundamental right for a woman to kill her baby at any stage in pregnancy. One moment before the foot leaves the birth canal, before the first hair leaves the birth canal. A lot of these leftists, not liberals, a lot of these leftists are determined that it's a fundamental right to murder your child. So no matter what social programs or help and love you give to this child would ever discourage them from their bloodlust. And that's what it is. It's 100% just bloodlust. And then they'll bring up the illegal immigrants. You're not being merciful for them. We're not murdering them. No, you're murdering them by sending them back. No, we're not. The United States is a very, very generous country. We give the countries all over the globe. We even allow a lot of immigrants to come to the United States. All we've ever been saying is, come the right way. Go through the door. Don't break in through the window and try to crash at the house. If you do, don't break a law after you're here. Don't smash the TV. That's all we're asking. Why is it wrong? Why do the left can't see this? And why they're okay with murdering unborn children. So, get off your hobby horse. I will not take any moral lectures from a liberal that is okay with murdering unborn children about how it's wrong to deport illegal immigrants. Nope, will not do it. You are not on the right moral side when you are murdering unborn babies and you're coming up with excuses and euphemisms all the way up to the moment of birth. I do not care about your moral fortitude because it is empty, it is lackluster, and it has no standing. And you might think the same of me about the illegal immigrants issue. You can, I guess. I think it's unwise. It's very dumb. Very dumb. because it's not about, we'll make America white again. No, it's not about that. It's about having America good for Americans. That's what it's about. That's what the Trump administration's about. But you can buy into the left-wing lie. You can buy into the left-wing propaganda. You can be spoon-fed by MSNBC and CNN. Oh, man. You know, I made a comment on Fred's. I posted something on Fred's, which is Facebook or Instagram's version of Twitter. And I did it right before I went to sleep last night. Wasn't thinking anything about it. Honestly, it was a copy and paste post, because I have a lot of social media accounts. Like, I have Twitter, I have Truth Social, which is Trump's version. I have Blue Sky, which is Democrat Twitter, and I have Fred's. So I just copy and paste a lot of the same stuff I'm saying. I do this before I go to bed. I go to church and my phone keeps vibrating. I don't know why, because I have my Bible app open. I'm not getting the notifications at the very, very top. I get one and then that's it. And then my phone keeps vibrating. I don't know why. I get home and I have 321 interactions and 420 likes and 18 reposts. And I have 31 followers now. Now, that's not a lot of followers, but I had like 4 before I posted this. It's not a social media I use that often. And I commented, communism is just as evil as Nazism. I really wish the left understood that. And man, that set off a firestorm. The left doesn't understand that. Nazism is evil. I fully condemn it. It is evil. It's a form of fascism that took place in Nazi Germany, far-right authoritarianism. Communism is, if you want to use the more Marx terms, the working class coming together, the workers owning the means of production. Okay? But it never freaking works out that way. You just kill a crap ton of people all the time. Well, that wasn't real communism. You know, what, the Soviet Union, not real communist. Communist China, not real communist. The Soviet, you know, North Korea, not real communist. Every time you point out to a failed communist state, well, that's not real communism. Oh, well, it was the CIA's fault. It's all, you know, they were intervening. Or maybe the system sucks. Maybe it leaves people dead. Maybe you focus so much on the collective that anytime someone goes against the strain, they're an enemy of the collective. Maybe you create the biggest monopolies in the world with your government and become the very thing you hate. The very thing you swore to destroy, you've become. How do you not see the evils of communism? Now, you can say that communism is good on paper because we all get the same, we all do it. Fine. If you want to say that, fine. It never works in reality. Ever. It's a far, far, far left. The communism is actually not liberal. Communism, you know, it's not liberal, classically liberal. Classical liberalism is more of a free market. But a lot of the Democrats today are not classically liberal. They're not. I don't even like calling them liberal, because I'm basically a classical liberal. In my approach, I believe in free speech. I believe in a free but regulated fair market. You know, I'm basically a classical liberal. But you use the word liberal now, you think of a far leftist. They're not the same thing. The Democrat Party of the day, the far leftist of the day, is not classically liberal. It's leftist. It's far leftist. But that's what we see. And man, so many people in the comments are telling me, a lot of them are telling me that, no, communism is a lot better than Nazism. They both leave a lot of people dead. I mean a lot. Joseph Stalin killed more people than Hitler. That doesn't mean Hitler was better, but he did kill more people than Hitler. Now, he also lived longer than Hitler. But they're equally evil. Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler were equally evil. I know we think of Hitler as the worst guy. Well, because we fought against him, because he was an aggressor in the war, the Holocaust. I agree. Hitler evil. But Joseph Stalin is equally as evil. The only reason we sided with him was to beat a common enemy. The only reason we fought the war with him is to beat a common enemy. And then as soon as the war's over, we go into the Cold War. General Patton, now I'm not saying we should have done this because it would have been aggression, it would have been too far, but General Patton legitimately said, after we beat the Nazis, he said, all our supplies are here, all our army is here, we have another army, we have another enemy in the Soviet Union, let's just go defeat them now, instead of doing it 10 years from now. This is before the nukes fell. I'm not saying he's right. I don't think he was. It wouldn't have been right to have done that. But I know why he said it. Because the Soviet Union was our enemy. Communism is evil. And it's just as evil as Nazism. And I've had some people on there even said, well, Democrats aren't communist. I agree, they're not. But there's a lot of Marxist ideas in the Democrat Party. And then you might say, well, there's fascist ideas in the Republican Party. Maybe a little. But not to the same degree that there's Marxist ideology in the Democratic Party. Not to the same degree at all. So I just want to encourage everyone to keep praying for President Trump. As I'm keeping our government in our prayers. I try to pray for them every night. I actually tried to pray for Biden a lot. I should have prayed for him more, but I tried to pray for Biden as much as I disagree with him because he's my president. And the Bible tells us in Romans 13 to pray for our leaders. And it doesn't say that you gotta like them. But I'm going to be praying for J.D. Vance's wife that she'll get saved and become a Christian. I'm going to pray for God's protection over President Trump. And I'm sure when I listen back to this episode that I'll get upset that I left something out. But I want to wait a little bit and see everything that's going on. It's been a good presidency so far. Maybe not perfect, but it's been good. And I know that we're becoming more of just a theological show, but I still have to say what's going on in the political world. And this was a huge change, a huge administration change that we see once in a lifetime. I want to read you guys a quote. I was reading a sermon this morning before I went to church from a pastor of the name of Charles Spurgeon. He was called the Prince of Preachers. Charles Spurgeon was. I want to share you guys a quote. Unbelief has more phases than the moon and more colors than the chameleon. And the sermon I read was the sin of unbelief. And there is a sin in unbelief. And not believing God, that is a sin in itself. Because God has gave us all the evidence we need to believe in Him. It's right there. It's not a hard thing to do. To believe in at least some type of God. And sometimes, even Christians, we fall into this. We fall into unbelief out of self-doubt. Out of, well, can God really help me overcome this sin? Can I really live a victorious life? That doesn't mean we won't slip up into sin. But God has done that. God can do all things. And sometimes we just say, I don't know if He can. But sometimes we just say, I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can do this. I don't know. We just don't believe God to His full extent of the word. And I want to read you in Genesis chapter 3. I'll read you the verses of the day, Genesis chapter 3, New King James. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God hath made. And he said to the woman, Has God indeed said, You shall not eat of every tree in the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, We may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat it, nor you shall touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, You shall not surely die, for God knows the day you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasing to her eyes, the tree desirable to make one's wishes, she took its fruit and ate. She also gave it to her husband, and he ate. So we see here the devil using unbelief. Has God really said? And I want to focus on us, not the atheism or anything, but I would say, the unbelief of atheism comes from a dark heart, because you have all you need to know that there is a creator by natural revelation. Natural revelation doesn't tell us who God is. That's why we need spiritual revelation, and we have that in the Bible. But natural revelation does tell you who God is. So we see here, has God really said? How many times in our own personal life do we say, has God really said? We doubt God. And that's a sin of unbelief. We got to repent. Say, God, I know you can do all things. Amen. Remember what Jesus said to the disciples when the rich man walked away, because Jesus asked him to sell all his goods and follow him. And then he said it's easier for the camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich man to go to heaven. He's not saying rich man can't go to heaven, by the way. That's a huge misread of the text. And the disciples say, well, who can go to heaven then? How is this not possible? And Jesus tells them, what is impossible with man is possible with God. God can do all things. He can save the heart of the rich that a camel had to fit the eye of the needle through. God can save the eye of that. God can save the rich. He can save anybody. But what is impossible with man is possible with God. Amen. God bless you guys. We're going to be back here next week, diving into the Bible, some spiritual content that'll come out later. Keep praying for the president. God bless you. In Jesus' name, have a great day.